Sign language users of Reddit. What is a common sign you see people do without being aware they are doing it? Every time you make a thumbs up, you're saying the number 10. Every time you do the OK sign, you're saying the number 9. Every time you cross your fingers, it's the letter R. Edit. Yes, I'm talking about ASL. Sorry for any confusion. I briefly took a sign language class in college. On day 1, the teacher assigned all of us name signs related to the first letter of our first names. My first name starts with C, and she assigned me a name sign with a C shape signed on my left chest, which I later learned is the actual sign in my area for citation. The chest position relates to the position of a police officer's badge. I guess I was mostly amused. BSL user here. You should know that whenever you do a double-handed finger gun, you're dangerously close to saying anal. There was a fad a few years ago where people did peace signs on their foreheads in selfies, that means stupid in ASL. Also frequent to see people say or period. Occasionally hearing people mess up trying to sign thank you to me and accidentally say you. I see signed a lot without being aware. It's the first finger and thumb in the shape of an L placed on the chin. People do this when pondering something. Edit. Wow, quite the response. Some of your replies are funny too, like how in Filipino it's handsome. And for those the asked, no, deaf people don't even tend to notice unless someone does it excessively. Have fun watching for it now. It always makes me giggle a bit. The most common one I see people do inadvertently is there and here. I think because it's so common to just point and something and say, it's over there. How many times I've seen guys unknowingly sign in ASL when flirting with girls in real life and in the movies thinking face less than. This sign edit. To add to this, I regrettably taught the signs comma, lit, white trash, and weird in ASL to some of my hearing friends because they asked me and they use it constantly to insult each other discreetly. Mind you, I taught them other more useful signs. But those 5 signs are the only ones they remember. And 95% of them are straight dudes. It's still funny though. Worked security in a class office building with a guy who had a deaf daughter. Every once in a while he would slip signs in as he was talking. Had a lady file a complaint against him for blowing her a kiss. He had slipped into signing and said thank you. Edit. Wow. Went for a walk and this took off. So, for context, this was a large office building owned by a national bank who occupied about 40% of the space. The lady was an employee of said bank. We were employees of a security company contracted by the building managers, and people generally look down upon those working in security. Hence the complaint. As for what happened with it, the property people let my boss do an investigation without having a knee-jerk reaction. They were pretty cool that way. My coworker explained what happened and that was that. It also helped that there were 2 deaf workers in the lady's own department that knew that my guy could sign. My coworker seemed amused by the whole situation. The sign for the number 6. When you are trying to indicate 3 by holding 3 fingers up with the pointer, middle and ring finger. You are saying 6 in sign language. The number 3 is pointer, middle and thumb. Only tangentially related. But I have a deaf regular customer who will sign at me and or point with the occasional note in a pinch, and some things are hilariously clear. She managed to communicate, WTF. Did someone smoke a bowl up in here? It reeks of weed, with perfect clarity. No note required. I just started learning sign language. I don't know anything particularly funny. But I thought they were interesting to find out. The little hand jiggle that people do to say so kinda means the same thing in sign. When you snap your fingers or pat your leg to call your dog, you're saying dog. Blowing a kiss is very similar to thank you. Also, a lot of people talk with their hands and end up sort of opening their hands palm up in front of them. Kind of like saying WHAA? Literally means what in sign. Part of me wonders if we adopted those gestures from sign or if sign adopted them from fidgety people. Anyone know the history of the development of sign who can answer that? ASL. Every time people clap they're unintentionally signing school. Edit. To add of another one I thought of. The I'm going to take your nose game you play with kids. Becomes toilet so. I know this dude that would absent-mindedly hit the top of his fist with the bottom of the other. What he didn't know is that this is the sign for In terms of rude signs? All the time. And oddly very frequently amongst YouTubers. It's madness. I was learning sign and met a lot of deaf people during that time. I thought I signed "nice to meet you," but apparently signed "nice to you." The man was very nice when he corrected me. But joked that he didn't think my husband would appreciate that very much. My stupid literally thought for a second, how are they gonna see this? They're deaf. Save me from myself. A while back there was a little kids choir. Completely forgot why I saw it, and they were singing several songs, mostly things like nursery rhymes, and would sign along to the lyrics. When they were singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," they all simultaneously had been told to make the shape of a star instead of doing the actual sign. The star shapes turned out to be what's equivalent to A. In sign language LMAO. It's not like the instructor, who knew a bit of ASL, was able to explain what they were actually signing. They were literally preschoolers, kindergarteners. I seem to notice a lot of people with their middle fingers out as they drive past me. I just smile and give them a little wave and think how funny it would be if they knew what they were saying. In sports. And with most people in general. When they show 3 on their hands, they will touch their pinky finger to their thumb. Which is the ASL numerical sign for 6, which is also the letter W. It always cracks me up cause all I see is 6. I also see people who are expressive with their hands while speaking English and all automatically get excited and zone in to see if they're signing. Typically they're not though. Then I get disappointed and laugh at myself lol. Instead of the universal sign rock on with 2 fingers up and thumb tucked in, I see the "I love you" sign with the thumb not tucked in. I get a kick out seeing headbangers profess their love to the band. Which might be what they've meant to do. IDK. Pro tip. Saying sign language is like saying spoken language. There are dozens of different sign languages. The most common in the United States being ASL. The signs for thank you and you are awfully similar. I went to RIT and had classes with a lot of ASL users. After a presentation I signed what I thought was thank you to find out later from my friend who started laughing immediately that it was actually you. The sign for menstruation is just a fist, the ASL A hand shape, tapped against your cheek twice with your fingers in towards your cheek. I, a female, would commonly casually do it while in class with my male friend who is deaf when we were in high school. Obviously I knew what it means. It was just funny to get him blushing because he was a young male and menstruation is often weird for them. I have also seen people do it accidentally while thinking or something. Though. When you shake your hand with the pinky and thumb out, I forget what the phrase is in English, it means yellow. Mostly seen done by surfers. Not sure if this is correct, but if you do the mind blown gesture with only one hand it means something along the lines of I forgot. Really not sure, so you can fact check this. PLs don't hate if it's wrong, I'll delete it. I'm not fluent in sign language, but I've been teaching certain signs to my 15-month-old. Learning as we go. I see the sign for all done every day. A friend's dad was trying to ask his teenage son and his friends if they wanted pizza. Anytime he didn't know the sign to a word, he mimicked it. So instead of asking if anyone wanted to eat pizza, he asked if they wanted to eat. In NZ sign, the word for going to the bathroom or is the same as the name for a boomer paradise town called Whitby. I love it. In Dutch sign language you count with one hand. A lot of people who don't know sign language but just do something while talking use the hand gesture of 8 while actually saying 3. Raising up your thumb, index finger and middle finger. This really confuses me. Me. How many children do you have? He. Signs 8-3. When girls pose for pictures with 2 fingers up like peace sign on their forehead. They're really just signing stupid. The OK hand gesture people use is the letter F in ASL. But ASL actually does have a sign for OK. The sign is literally just the letters OK or some just use K. Let me tell you. The circle game is super annoying to me because that sign held down low is basically the sign for a-hole. My wife is a coda. And from her and her parents I have picked up sign. We went to Cuba a couple years ago. And since I don't speak great Spanish, I found myself supplementing with sign language. Often I would find myself saying yes in sign, moving your hand up and down in a fist. On the last night we were in Cuba. I did just this at a restaurant and the waiter started laughing. and then went over to a group of other employees, who all also started laughing. Seeing my confusion, he came back over and explained that doing that movement with your hand was the equivalent to asking another man at a club if he wants to come home and bang.